An arena shooter, 3v3, released on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Windows for PC with crossplay, the premise being that you fire rockets at the other team to damage them, fire rockets near yourself to boost yourself around, fire rockets for basically any and all purposes. Sounds like a recipe for fun, right? A fun party game. Nothing too serious, just a laugh. Well, there's now a game based entirely around that premise. This is Rocket Arena. Alright then, if you enjoy this video, it would be massively, hugely appreciated if you consider subscribing for more content, as I do currently have a goal of hitting 50k subs, sitting at 48k right now, so we're getting close. Thank you very much for that. And to the point of today, the standard reasonable strategy for selling a game like Rocket Arena would logically be, I'm sure many of you will agree, make it free to play, make it very clear how you can access it, and hope you've got a hit on your hands that you can monetize via in-game transactions, season passes, skins, etc. Basically the Fortnite model, as many of you will be able to recognize it as, due to that being probably the most successful example of that strategy. But that's not what happened here, because despite that favorable introduction where I tried to shine positive light onto a game, as I like to do for these videos, yes, I'm a saint, this is not a success story today. Indeed, it looks like it's going to be incredibly hard for it to ever become a success story. And we'll get to all of the reasons why, but basically, EA messed this one up. And we've seen some of these mistakes from them before, and also somewhat predictably, it comes down to them wanting money now rather than money later, which looks set to probably earn them less money overall. So Rocket Arena was developed by Final Strike Games. They're a team of 50 people, and honestly, they've done a good job on Rocket Arena. The problem isn't really the game itself. Now, it released on the 14th of July, so around 2 weeks ago as of recording this video, and it's tanking. Unfortunately, it's doing really quite badly. And I say unfortunately, as I had a bit of fun with this one. As far as kind of throwaway party games go, it does the job. But it's either dead or at least dying right now, because Rocket Arena was not released free to play. I didn't catch firsthand how much it cost at initial release for sure, but I've seen it quoted around $30 for the standard release, and I think $40 for the Mythic Edition, which is basically the premium or elite edition or whatever you want to call it, which includes cosmetics and whatever digital extras. And so no, this tactic did not work. This did not help the game's take off at all. Now, there's even been some chatter that this game was going to be free to play until EA changed that. I can't for the life of me find confirmation of this, so do take it with a pinch of salt, and if you can link to anything that confirms this in the comments below, then please do so. I'd be fascinated to see it. But anyway, that price point of $30 or $40 in the US didn't last long due to the game totally flopping at release, so it's plummeted very quickly to a pretty troubling degree, to be honest. It's available through some retailers in the US for around $8. I've seen it here in the UK for £10. Some online retailers have it as low as like $5, such as the US PlayStation Store, a deal that's set to last until at least the 20th of August, and obviously this is not a good look for a few reasons. One, it screams, our game is failing and we totally messed up the pricing strategy. Two, it will no doubt anger those who purchased the game at full price just 2 weeks ago. And three, dropping the price by that much that quickly almost totally devalues the product. In the eyes of many consumer, this makes your product look like it's not worth their time, it must be substandard, other players aren't playing it so why should I, etc, etc. And the sad thing is that the product isn't really substandard. It just shouldn't have been anything other than a free to play or potentially extremely cheap to purchase game from the start. After all, it has a paid season pass in it, as well as skins that can be purchased with either in-game currency or actual money, which essentially makes Rocket Arena right now appear to be a paid-for party game with even more paid-for elements inside. And remember that this very quick, sudden price drop thing happened with Battlefield 5 as well, also an EA-produced title. Very soon after release, the price fell massively. It was heavily covered by many outlets and creators, as it should be, and this obviously sent the message that the game is failing, that they messed up, and also annoyed anyone that just bought the game at release price. And yeah, EA do have somewhat of a history of monetizing prioritizing things that they perhaps shouldn't, so this likely shouldn't therefore come as a surprise, but it doesn't make it any less frustrating when it happens, likely with none more frustrated than the developers themselves. But this isn't the only error being made. This game is crying out to be converted to free-to-play right now, but instead it's got a free trial on Steam until August 3rd, a free trial on Xbox via Games with Gold until August 2nd, I believe, and it's available if you have EA Access or Origin Access, which are two paid-for services. And while this may sometimes be an encouraging step, especially if the game has been out for a long time or it releases like this, in this case, it looks like an attempt to hold off free-to-play fully very early on, entice more players to purchase, and then it'll either go free-to-play and anger those players at some point if it comes too soon after, or stay as a paid-for title and still make no sense from a price point perspective, especially if the player base continues to dwindle and then you got issues with matching against people and whatever else. Just make it free to play. The damage is already done. Short-term money is not as good as long-term trust and reputation benefits, something EA have been criticized for a very long time. So what are the player numbers actually like? Well, it's probably a good job it has crossplay available, as the numbers aren't very healthy. On Xbox, where I played it, I played 2 or 3 people a couple of times in just an hour or so, which although anecdotal evidence isn't a good sign, you know, running into the same players just 2 weeks after release within an hour, but more so than that, very much more importantly, Steam has actual figures that are of use. So on Steam, at the time making this video, Rocket Arena has averaged just 195 or so players playing at any one time. It dropped to about 100 players after just 10 days. It's had a peak of 737 so far, which did come within the last 24 hours, but is likely due to that free-to-play trial and is still only 737 people. And an hour before recording this part of the video, it was down to 490 players, and it's been as low as around 60 from what I can tell on the provided graph. Remember, this is a full release from EA that came out just 2 weeks ago. I'm just going to add a quick edit here. Let me just say that I do understand that Origin will probably have the bulk of the players on PC because it's an EA product. EA Access has it for free, that kind of stuff. But it's still clear these aren't good numbers and it's an indicator that the game isn't really succeeding. Alright, carry on. And when I checked on Twitch, it had just 161 viewers, so it's all very painful stuff. So does the game really deserve that? Is it actually good? Well, yeah, it is good, as long as you set your expectations appropriately. No, it's not worth the price it released at, not at all. This is a very basic, fairly shallow party game, as I keep saying. There's not much here that will keep most players playing for the long term. I personally enjoyed my hour or so on it, but I don't know if I'll ever really play it again, and I was pleased I played it via the free-to-play trial rather than paid for it. It's just not a long-term option for your average gamer in my opinion, and that means that most probably won't want to pay for it, even less so now with all of the coverage regarding massive price drops and poor player numbers. It makes the game look bad. This is all a shame, as it gets mostly positive reviews on Steam. I've actually seen fairly favourable reviews from most platforms, and I feel for the devs over at Final Strike Games. This isn't the sort of momentum they were hoping for when releasing this game, and they didn't do much wrong. It's no world beater, of course. There are character balance issues, and it's, as I said, quite a shallow experience, but it does what I feel like it was supposed to do and what they probably aimed for initially. EA just pulled an EA move with this one, it looks like, and the game is heavily paying for that. It should have been free to play at release, it should be free to play now, and the different price points on different platforms, the amount of people searching for if this is free to play, the holding off on actually going free to play, the monetization within the game considering it isn't free to play right now, and all of that stuff just isn't a recipe for success, even if the game itself looks like a recipe for some brief throwaway fun. So I again question when the necessary lessons are going to be learned. Perhaps not anytime soon, but they absolutely should be, because it's a long road back for Rocket Arena right now, and based on what we've seen before, it will likely be a long road back for some games that come after this as well. So, what do you think about Rocket Arena, EA, or overall game release decisions such as this? Let me know in the comments below, and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, leaving a like is huge. Subscribe if you're new here or haven't done so before to see more content and help me hit that 50k target that I have right now. And all the links to my social media, including Patreon, can be found in the description and my pinned comment, where if you do support me on Patreon, you'll join the board of awesome you're seeing right here with all the epic people that already do so. They're all absolute heroes, and I love them all deeply and of course often. So yep, all the links to that in the description and my pinned comment. And with all that said, I am GetGoodGuy, and I'll see you next time. Laters. It never felt boring or one note to me. It shifted between pilot play and Titan play, puts you in vast sprawling landscapes where you can utilize your wall runs, double jumps, advanced slides and all of that jazz,